Okay, I'm back. I'm going to do this before the sun sets today and before Thanksgiving dinner with my beloved Nalini. She's made us a little feast. She's making us organic Cornish hens and my pecan yam casserole, and she made gluten-free stuffing yesterday, and green beans and cranberry sauce, and yeah. So I just wanted to say hello again, Antonia, Teresa, Amore, Broccoli. I thought I would share you with you a little bit of color and inspiration. We're going to move on to Tullio Storio today. But I wanted to show you a painting that I did last year. This is the dancing goddess in a mandala of watercolor of the phases of the moon. So I completed that on the 20th of my mother's birthday last year, 9/20/2023. So kind of reminds me of my mother. My mother was always, she was always so put together and and slim and trim, and she always said if she wanted to lose weight, she would just like drink tea, black tea, and toast for 3 days to go to get into a gown or special occasion. So anyway, that kind of reminds me of my mom a little bit, and the kind of the whimsical dancing goddess, in the autumn colors. And then this year, I love to paint. I did this one in the last couple weeks of October. It was for the blue wave that we were so hoping for, but I guess it's not going to happen this time. Is the pumpkin? It just happened to be a blue pumpkin that the tutorial. So that was I don't really usually paint things like objects, but so I put, let me see if I put this goddess in there, this ancient goddess, this blessing. Yes, so that was completed like on Halloween, Hallowmas, the witch's new year. So there you have it. Get a little bit of me, not to be too narcissistic, but I am on this healing journey, and I like to share. I love art. So I'm gonna move on to Tullio Palombo. So in 1992 or 91, I took an oral history class at the University of California, Santa Cruz, with Marge Frotz and another gentleman. I can't remember his name, but Marge was a professor, mentor of mine when I was a literature major for 3 years at the University of California here at Santa Cruz. And Jebediah and I were living up on student family housing from the fall of 1990 until the fall of 1993, where I graduated with my BA in comparative literature. One of the classes was under the umbrella of American Studies. It was called Oral History. I think Terrell Studs is a famous historian for oral histories. He went around and he interviewed all these working class Americans, and he documented them through oral history, through a cassette tape back in the 90s. That's what we used. So I took on the project of interviewing Italian. I wanted to do Italian American women. So of course I start with my mother, and then I share this modality with my mother, and she's going to Pittsburgh, and I'm like, Ma, you got to talk to your relatives. You got to talk to your brothers and your sisters and get these writings. We don't want to lose these writings. This is 1992. So this is July 1992. Mama shows up with her little cassette tape, and she is having a conversation with Tullio Palombo. So this is Tullio's words. Okay, I'm speaking. I'm emulating Uncle Tullio. I'm becoming Uncle Tullio, my ancestor. I ask you, Uncle Tullio, to come into my heart and my soul and my spirit with your gentleness. You're one of the most gentle men I have ever known in my entire life. I still remember your large hands and the smell of your cigar and a little bit of wine and garlic and your ruffy face and you're kind of aloof distance, but you're so warm and loving. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. My earliest memory by Tullio Palombo, my maternal uncle. My earliest memory was in 1918, according to my Uncle Ralph. I was 18 months old, excuse me. I gotta slow down. I was 18 months and he carried me in his arms, walking along with my mother after visiting my father, who was in the hospital at the time. It was a summer day. I remember my sister Beatrice, who was 2 years older than I. She had shoulder-length hair. She died at the age of 6 from pneumonia in 1922. Laura was born in 1922, and she died in 1923. I don't know what illness. As I said, it was strep throat. I remember she was laid out, and a photographer took a picture of her. I remember rocking the cradle. Either Mary or Angela, it must have been Angela because Mary wasn't born yet, to sleep, because Angela was born in 1920. Italia set the mattress on fire. One of the boarders threw it out the window. Italia and I were helping with the washing. She got her fingers caught in the wringer rollers I was cranking. I was at the railroad station with my father. They were unloading cassettes, draped with flags of boxcars, remains of soldiers from World War II. I was 2 or 3 years old. My first day in kindergarten, all of us children danced in a circle. I started first grade at St. Peter's School, and if you came into school after the tardy bell, Mother Superior would whack your palm of your hand with a hickory stick. And my father would take me with him when he was shopping at the produce market and the department stores. We lived walking distance from downtown Pittsburgh. We lived in what was known as the Hill District, and you could see all of our downtown Pittsburgh. At night, you could see the electric signs, hence number 57 sign, the T-Berry gum signs. We lived in a mixed neighborhood with many Italians and Negroes, blacks, some Arabs, and Jews. There were prostitutes in the area. I remember one lady that sat at the stoop with money showing through her silk stockings. The city recreation field was very close to home. In the summer, the blacks sat on a retaining wall and ate watermelon. There were several boarders living with us. One night, there was a fight between two of them. They went at each other with knives. One of them was bleeding. My father broke them up. I don't know if they remained living with us. In the fall of the year, it was winemaking time. I remember a truck loaded with California grapes. I helped with the winemaking. At Christmas time, my father would decorate the dining room with garland. There was a man that had an Indian motorcycle with a sidecar, and on occasion he would take two of us kids for a ride. On Sundays, we would have foot races. The winner would get an ice cream soda, and the rest of us would get an ice cream cone. When the family would go visiting friends on Sunday, I would run up to the cab 2 blocks away and ride in a taxi. And we had no phone, and we had, I can't twist. Not supposed to twist. Okay, hold on. Let me just see if I get this a little more comfortable. I would run up to the cab stand 2 blocks away and ride in a taxi. We had no phone and no car. In 1926, Vincent Rea arrived from Italy. Mr. Rea was living with us at the time, and Mr. Rea worked as a cement mason. It must have been Vincent Jr. Senior. It was, and Italia's father-in-law, I believe. The summer, he got me a job as a water boy. Kept the cement crew supplied with drinking water. So Mr. Ray, Vincent Ray, was a cement mason, and he's responsible for many of the mason work throughout Pittsburgh, like City Hall and a lot of the parks. They kept the cement crew supplied with water, drinking water. I got $1 a day. That year, after visiting friends in Detroit, my father decided to move the family there. Well, they actually moved after Mom died. Yeah, so, after Mom was born in 1924. So this is 1926. So the year after visiting friends in Detroit, my father decided to move to Detroit in 1926. Tullio Palombo, a distant relative, got my father a job with the telephone company underground gang laying cables around Detroit. Another friend, Peter Riggy, found a house for rent, and in September 1926, we moved to Detroit. So Mom was just turning 2. My parents went shopping one day to buy many things for the house. They decided to buy me a coaster wagon I'd been wanting and brought their purchases home in it. I coasted along the sidewalks, and turning in a corner, I ran into a boy that came running out of a store. I had broken his leg. I sent him in the wagon and took him home where he lived nearby. The boy's parents came to our house and an agreement ensued. My parents had to pay $300 in doctor bills. Wow, that was a lot of money back in 1926. A few days later, that boy's mother smashed the coaster wagon to bits. That was the end of my wagon. In the 1930s, I candied at the country club. In the winter, I would go to better neighborhoods and shovel snow for pay. I dropped out of school in the 10th grade. Years later, I earned my GED diploma. I then got a job at the U.S. Rubber Company that lasted a few months. I got a job at Ford Motor Company. World War II came. The automobile cars were changing over to war work. There was a layoff. I was drawing on workman's compensation. At night, from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., I attended classes for machine shop training so I could get into war defense work. After the training was over, I went to work at a tool and die shop. I stayed with that work through the years. Tullio. Okay, I'm going to end there and we'll pick it up. This was recorded at Italia Palombo Rea's home in Crafton, Pennsylvania, on July 1992. And then we're going to have a little conversation between the sisters, it looks like. I guess I could try to move on if people are okay with that. I'll try. Okay, so present at the recording were Italia Palombo Rea, Carolina Ray Hauser, Italia's daughter, Angela Palombo Nader, and Mary Palombo Broccoli. So Carol has a question. What kind of temperament did Nonna Christina have? And the answer comes from, see if I can show you that picture. Oh, see that picture? That's the picture I was describing earlier of Nonna Christina and Nonna Giuseppe. Okay? Those are photos. Hers was in Italy, taken in Italy. His was in America. And they juxtaposed them they put them together. Okay? This is a painting it was a print actually that I found at an Italian cultural festival in San Jose at the fairgrounds or downtown. Let's see it very good. Let me see if I can. It's of a woman, a young girl with her sheep, and David had it. I gave it to Mama as a Christmas gift in the early '90s, and David had it framed, and I got it after she died. It's hanging in my bedroom, in my office, I mean. So Carol asks, what kind of temperament did Nonna Christina have? And Aunt Italia says, Nonna Christina had an even temper, and so did our father. Never swore at us or lost her temper with us. Nonna Christina used to spank us once in a while. I remember this one event. She took Aunt Angie and I downtown to Liberty Avenue to a theater that had an Italian movie. She would hold our hands, and she had a shopping bag. She must have done some shopping beforehand, and she had some cookies for us to eat during the show, and the theater was very dark. Angela, I just remember Hap, Armondo, being bored. The next thing I remember is the house on Quincy. I don't remember moving there. I may have been in the hospital. I remember Hap being baptized in that house. I remember people throwing confetti candy, and I was on the floor picking them up. I loved that house. I remember Ma having dizzy spells because of her high blood pressure, and the doctor gave her medicine, and she had to put so many drops into the water, maybe 5 drops, and every day she would add another drop until she reached the level prescribed by the doctor. Then she would start decreasing the drops. Italia, I remember the neighbors would come over and rub vinegar on her wrist and under her nose. Mom was very heavy. She must have weighed in at 350 pounds. Mary, did Mom, Nonna Christina Ferrar Palombo, cut her hair in 1934 or 35? Angela, oh yes, it must have been. Maybe before or after Italia was married in 1936, or maybe Italia was home on a visit, but Italia cut her hair. Italia says, I don't remember cutting her hair. Mary, oh yes you did, Angela says. She had that long braid for the longest time, and I don't know what happened to that braid. It was beautiful. So apparently Nonna Christina had this multicolor reddish auburn hair, much similar to mine and Chris's and Joey's beard. Chris's hair was auburn till she was 30. Mine was more multi-faceted colors of red, and Joey had a reddish beard and some maybe auburn hair, much like my son has that coloring as well. So that is the recessive gene from Nonna Christina, and for us, the Broccolis, the Palombo Broccolis, it also came from Nonna Victoria, because my understanding is that you need to have a recessive gene, although Loretta has red hair, so it must be on Vincent's side somewhere. So there was always this talk. I remember my mother always complaining that she thought Angela stole this beautiful long braid that was Nonna Christina's. So it's kind of interesting that, Mom is the one asking the question. Did Mom cut her hair? Because it was really long. She had it down her back. And Angela's, Angela says, oh, Italia cut it. And she doesn't remember, but Angela's insists. And so Mary says, but do you remember when she washed her hair? If it was the summer, she would sit in the sun and dry her hair. It was so pretty and long. Italia, yes, it was strawberry blonde. Angela, oh, blue eyes, no green eyes. Her eyes are hazel. My daughter Teresa Antonia, has hazel eyes like my mom's. Angela, I'm the only one in all of 6 of our kids that have hazel eyes. Angela, after her hair was cut, I used to press the waves in it. It was so pretty, and after Mom cut her hair, all the friends got theirs cut too. And Pa didn't care. Mary, It was easier for her to take care of her hair. Italia, I just don't remember cutting her hair. Angela, yes, I'm surprised you don't remember that. Mary, I don't know when or where she had it cut, but I do remember her long braid that someone made for her out of her hair. Angela, I thought it might have been at the house at Bayless. Mary, I don't think so. It was in the last house we lived on 14th Street. Angela, yes, I think that's right. Mary, I remember when we lived on Homer, the neighborhood next door poisoned our dog. Angela, oh no, it was the house on Quincy, the brick house. I remember our boarder, Beatice, ? Ma wanted to get rid of the dog, so she told him to give the dog to his girlfriend. Mary, I don't remember that. Italia, I don't remember that either. I do remember the white dog that had started to foam from the mouth, and Pa had to put him to sleep. I remember using a lamp that used to be a spotlight on me, and that I would start to perform for Mom and Dad. Dad would laugh so hard that he had tears in his eyes. This is Italia. And I brought home all the different acts from the kids, the different acts the kids from school did. They also read poetry, so I couldn't do that. Angela, what was the poem? Under the spreading chestnut tree. I remember. At that point, Vincent, Italia's husband, comes into the room and wanted to know what we were doing. We told him we were recording our childhood memories. We said this almost in unison. That's very sweet. Mary, Vincent, could you please describe the Road to Vicalvi from Rome for us? Vincent, well, you take the Strada de Sora. Sounds like the Strada de Sora, the road to Sora. You go right when you get to Fresnoni, and you head to the hills of Casamia, and then to Sora. I remember staying in a really sweet little hotel in Sora when I went in 2010. There's a river there. Okay, Mary, Vincent, could you please, okay. Angie, whatever happened to the smoke stand that was delivered to our house by mistake? Italia, yes, it was black onyx or marble. Mary, they had it on Bayless, B-A-Y-L-I-S, but I don't remember when they moved to their home on Stalin. Italia, I had gone to Vicalia to see Granda Yolanda, what's a Y? Yolanda's house. This is Nonna Christina's mother. So Italia says she visited Vicalvi to see Granda Vilanda, not Yolanda, but with a Y, Yolands house, Maria Christina's mother. They had restored this house with a balcony overlooking the other houses across the way, which were Uncle Tony's and Uncle Ralph's. There were adjoining homes. Uncle John lived in the old house. Then his daughter Rosalinda built a home further down from Uncle John's, just like 2 doors down across the street. Then Victoria, Rosalinda's daughter, moved into the old house and did a lot of redecorating. It was very nice inside, but the outside was sort of run down. Mary, do you know where Vicalvi is? Vincent, it's by the river. And it's surrounded by amazing olive trees. Mary, my father-in-law came from there, and my mother-in-law came from there also. Chaco was her maiden name. All right, I'll resume tomorrow with Aunt Italia Mariana Palombo Rea. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving. Remember to be gentle and loving with ourselves, and be grateful for our health and our vitality and the abundance that we have, and the good food that we can share with our loved ones and our families and our children for the future generation, as we honor our family generation of the Ferrara Palombo family. Thank you very much. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for healing with me. Bye-bye.